Luton Town have appointed Rob Edwards as their new boss, the man who was in charge of arch rivals Watford less than 2 months ago. Here's my take. Edwards is in at the Kenny, replacing Nathan Jones after he made the jump to Southampton. Give us a like and get your thoughts in on this decision on his replacement via the comments. Luton have moved quickly to replace Jones, who performed really well in his 2 spells in charge. Firstly, taking the Hatters up from League 2 and leaving them at the top of League 1, where they would ultimately be promoted under the stewardship of Mick Harford. Jones then returned with his tail between his legs after a pretty poor time of it over at Stoke City, but he saved Luton from relegation, took them into mid-table, and then all the way to the playoff semi-finals last season. The man trying to follow in his footsteps has been confirmed as Rob Edwards, who shot to notoriety as his excellent Forest Green side cruised towards the League 2 title last season. Edwards then took what many considered a big career gamble up 2 divisions to freshly relegated Year 1 parachute side Watford. Now, obviously, there aren't many bigger jobs outside the Premier League, but would the ruthless Pozzo ownership change their ways and give a young English manager time in the job? Absolutely not. Watford sacked Edwards after just 10 championship games and 138 days in charge. As fate would have it, the Luton job has opened up and Edwards takes the rather unique step of managing both Watford and Luton in the same season. In terms of a fit, it looks a pretty good one on paper between Edwards and Luton. His Forest Green side were a pressing 3-5-2 side with excellent wing-backs in Cadden and Wilson, and some similarities with what Nathan Jones did in his second spell at Luton. The Hatters have recruited very innovatively over the past couple of seasons and been happy to develop players. Edwards, you can safely say, did the same at Forest Green. I think evidenced by the fact that not only was he headhunted up to a higher level, up the food chain, but so were the stars of that team. Cadden, Wilson and Ibu Adams are now at Barnsley, Bristol City and Cardiff. My opinion, for what it's worth, is that I've come to trust Luton's decision makers when it comes to who is brought into the club. It was a big call to bring Jones back. That worked out very nicely, and they've got a tune out of players from lower divisions like Adebayo, the likes of Campbell from up in the Scottish market, and then cleverly used veterans like Lansbury and Jerome to really good effect. What I'm saying is the Luton strike rate for people coming in is pretty good. And if the same attention has been given to choosing Rob Edwards, then who am I, frankly, to question it? I think Edwards is obviously going to be very highly motivated after the general perception is, rightly or wrongly, that he was sold a bill of goods at Watford and then the owners had a change of heart and really threw him under the bus. And so to the elephant in this particular room, and this is a manager going to take charge of arch rivals Watford and Luton in the same season. Now look, I know I made a big deal of it at the start of the video, and it will be a big deal to aspects of both fan bases, but guys, the professionals tend to just want to work at the highest level possible, wherever that may be. And whilst they will all understand what these rivalries mean emotionally to supporters on both sides of the divide, they don't really fit into the in-group, out-group stuff when their career progress is concerned. How will Edwards do? Well, I think he'll be okay, and he'll certainly be supported in a different way than he was over at Watford. I would add that Nathan Jones has set a very high bar, particularly in terms of a playoff finish last season. My predictions in the 1-24 had the Hatters finishing 7th, and I would reluctantly suggest that that will now be a little bit more difficult with a new manager coming in midway, and of course the departure of one so ingrained with the club. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to know exactly what I was thinking about Rob Edwards' departure to Watford, you can click right here and head all the way back, well, not so far really, to September the 26th, where the now Luton boss was unceremoniously replaced with Slaven Bilic over at Vicarage Road. Only in the Championship.